This is your morning Buzzcast for Thursday, July 3rd. Hope everybody has a great July 4th weekend. I'm Abe Madkour. Thanks for listening to the morning Buzzcast. First, the positive momentum around hockey continues. Fresh off a new collective bargaining agreement and the NHL draft comes the formal agreement that the NHL and the PA will return players to the Olympics for the 26 Milan Cortina Winter Games scheduled to be held in February. Now, why is this important? Well, this will be the first time since the 2014 Sochi Games that players will return to the Olympics. And this opens the door for players to participate in the 2030 Winter Games in the French Alps. You know the NHL and the players want to be involved in the 34 Winter Games scheduled to be held in Salt Lake City. And the bottom line is fans, avid fans, casual fans, love Olympic hockey. And this puts the NHL's best players on the global stage in a very intense competition. And the league has had issues about their players going to the Olympics. They've seemed to resolve those issues, and they now have an international calendar, which the league has been missing for some time. And so again, another sign of momentum around the game of hockey and especially the NHL. You know, a lot of soccer in the marketplace. Gold Cup finals are now set after the two semifinals on Wednesday night. First, in St. Louis, while fans from Guatemala may have outnumbered American fans at Energizer Park on Wednesday night, the U.S. men's team is heading to the CONCACAF Gold Cup final on Sunday in Houston. They won 2-1 before a sellout crowd, like I said, mostly from fans from Guatemala at Energizer Park. Meanwhile, in the other semifinal, which took place in Santa Clara, Mexico defeated Honduras at Levi Stadium. And while normally this would be a packed house and quite the scene, but we know recently the presence of ICE raids have impacted so many lives. So there were reportedly plenty of tickets still available on resale markets shortly before the game, and ticket prices were far lower than what a normal game featuring Mexico would command. The announced attendance, which is tickets distributed, was nearly 71,000 fans at Levi Stadium, but every report today indicates that there were plenty of empty seats visible, and some fans told the media that their friends stayed away from the game because of the fear of ICE agents around Levi Stadium. So now, the CONCACAF Gold Final is set, U.S.-Mexico in the championship game played on Sunday in Houston. This will be a very good test for America's men's team. And of course, I would just say interest in that team, not very high as of right now, which isn't a very good sign a year before the World Cup comes to the United States. But the team still has time to turn sentiment around, and it could start Sunday in the CONCACAF Gold Cup final. And like I said, there is a lot of soccer in the marketplace. I might argue too much. And there's a lot of inventory and a lot of seats to fill. So we just talked about the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Let's take a look at the numbers around the Club World Cup. The 8 round of 16 matches that just concluded drew an average attendance of just over 42,000 fans per game. And that was up from the early group stage of competition, which averaged nearly 35,000 fans. But when you look at percent capacity, the percent of seats filled, it was just over 60% of available seats for the round of 16 were filled. Remember, all of these matches were played in NFL-sized stadium, big facilities, a lot of seats to fill. And while this is a new event, it's obviously taking some time to catch on. So through 56 matches of the Club World Cup, the event is averaging just under 36,000 fans per match. Now we're coming to the home stretch. Quarterfinals will be held Friday and Saturday, leading into the semifinals and finals at MetLife Stadium. So again, it's building up. It's a first-time event. There's a lot of talk about the Club World Cup, and we'll see how it ends over the next couple of weeks. And staying with soccer, the NWSL will pause its 26th season for most of next June to accommodate expected stadium demands for next summer's World Cup in some of its markets. So the NWSL will not play from June 1st through June 28th next year. And that covers the lead up to the World Cup and the entire group stage. 7 of the NWSL's 16 markets will host matches as part of the World Cup next summer, and the NWSL obviously does not want to go up head-to-head against the World Cup, so they will take a break during the month of June. In addition, the league will extend its regular season to 30 matches per team. That's up from 26 this year, so they have 2 new teams starting, Boston, Denver. That's why they expanded the schedule, but 2 more games means 2 more chances to sell tickets, 2 more games of media inventory for the NWSL. Staying with women's sports, we continue to see growth around women's sports, so get ready for women's professional baseball in the United States. There will be tryouts in Washington, D.C. next month, allowing players to compete for a chance to play pro baseball in the U.S. for the first time in decades. Yes, the Women's Pro Baseball League will hold tryouts at Nationals Park in late August. More than 600 players have already registered to take part, so the tryouts will result in 150 players who will be eligible for the draft, which will happen in the fall. We've talked about the Women's Pro Baseball League. It aims to launch next summer, summer of 26, with 6 teams. So yes, women's pro baseball in the U.S. for the first time since the 1950s, launching next summer. Interesting news in SBJ's part of the world, as the University of South Carolina is starting a graduate and professional level sports media and master's program in Charlotte later this year. It will be known as the Sport, Media, and Entertainment Initiative. Graduate level courses in Charlotte will start next spring. South Carolina has hired Tamara Green of Tepper Sports and Entertainment as co-director of Sports Media Initiatives and a faculty member. So Tamara Green joined Tepper Sports in March of 2023. She was Senior Vice President, Chief Communications Officer. She's well regarded, well known in the Charlotte market. This is a great move for her. Tepper Sports is expected to begin looking for a replacement for Tamara Green to oversee their communications department next year after the end of this upcoming NFL season. But an interesting sports media and entertainment initiative at the graduate level starting at the University of South Carolina. And finally, you're going to see more and more of this with the new era of college sports and overall changes to the system. You'll see a lot of personnel changes at the NCAA headquarters in Indianapolis. One example happened this week as NCAA Senior Vice President of Policy and Governance Kevin Lennon. He is the longest tenured national office employee at the NCAA. He will retire in August after being with the NCAA since 1986. Kevin Lennon, very well known, again, very well respected, has touched so many areas of the NCAA. He will move on after serving the NCAA since 1986. And like I said, I do believe you'll start seeing more and more of these changes at the NCAA's national headquarters because of so many new areas happening in college sports. And finally, an SBJ programming note. This week on the SBJ Sports Media Podcast, Austin Karp and Molly Kalaline break down talks between ESPN and Major League Baseball and what those talks could yield in the league's media rights future. Also, they take a deep dive into F1 the movie, as well as an inside look at the format and viewership results of both the NBA and NHL drafts. All that and more on the SBJ Sports Media Podcast, a great listen over the July 4th weekend. Make sure you like and subscribe to it, as it's available now wherever you get your podcasts. And that is your morning Buzzcast for Thursday, July 3rd. I'm Abe Madkour. Have a safe, happy July 4th weekend. Stay healthy. Be good to each other. I'll speak to you next week.